Electric shock treatment must be banned now. Electric shock treatment is barbaric and must be banned now. My name is David. Previously, I've done YouTube videos on such topics as defeating depression, social media truth, exercise or die, how music lifts us up, and counselling in Australia. Rather than call it electric shock treatment or electric shock therapy, there's another word that starts with the letter T, which more accurately describes this barbaric practice. And that word is torture. If you were to go to a dentist and the dentist pulls your tooth out with pliers, would you call that treatment or therapy? I don't think so. I think quite rightly you would call it torture. In Australia, there are thousands of electric shock treatments or tortures, as to use the proper term for it, every year, mainly for those with depression and bipolar. There's also a large increase in the number of people who have it of the younger age group category. Let's have a look at the side effects of electric shock torture. Seizures, permanent memory loss, confusion, headaches, nausea, cardiac issues, difficulty with concentration, fatigue. They don't sound too bad when you say it quickly, do they? But let's have a proper look at those. Seizures. I didn't have any seizures before I received electric shock torture, but afterwards I did. And to prevent more seizures, I'm on medication every single day. Permanent memory loss. It is so sad that happens. Why should you willingly take the risk of it happening to you or to those you love? You don't have to. You have the right to say, no, I'm not going to have it. After all, there are far, far better treatments for depression and the like. Confusion. We live in a very confusing time. So don't get even more confused by having electric shock torture. Headaches. You deserve better. You don't need headaches. Nausea. In other words, vomiting. Now, I don't know what you look like, but I'm guessing you're the sort of person, correct me if I'm wrong, who does not like vomiting. But vomiting is a risk you take when you receive electric shock torture. Cardiac issues. Issues to do with your heart. You've only got one heart, so make the most of it by doing regular exercise. Don't mess up your heart or other body organs by having electric shock torture. Difficulty with concentration. That can be a major issue at work and at home with dire consequences. You can't afford the risk, so don't have electric shock torture. And fatigue. Fatigue. I don't understand how anyone could be so ignorant, so pathetic as to apply or authorise or even condone electric shock torture for anyone with depression, when one of the side effects of depression is fatigue. I was talking to someone who works for one of the top psychology practices in Queensland the other day, and we agreed how important it is for those with depression and bipolar and other issues to have community involvement and to do exercise as legitimate, effective, enjoyable treatments. Now, as I said in my Defeating Depression video, taking up stimulating challenges such as exercise, studies, and hobbies are effective ways in dealing with depression. It doesn't mean you'll master those skills, but you can have lots of fun and make new friends and give you so much more energy than you had before. And you'll enjoy that proper way to defeat depression. It's also important you can regard depression as a temporary state. When you regard depression as a temporary state, it can shift your mindset into a more positive state and say to yourself and others, look, I've got depression now, but I won't always have it. Trust me, it works. There's grief, family situations, loss of love are just 3 examples of potential causes for depression. Family, friends, and professionals can support you. We are effective in what we show to you by showing our empathy, our understanding. Our listening ears are always there for you if you have depression. So you don't need electric shock torture. Do you? Do you? You can also take up volunteering. It's a great way for you and for other people to mix with other people and to stop your depression. What it does, the expression I like to call it is, when you're volunteering for someone, for some organisation, what you're doing, you're giving the person a glass of water and you're receiving a glass of champagne in return. That's how great it feels when you do volunteering. It's one of the best ways to overcome depression. Also, as I said in my How Music Lifts Us Up video, singing and dancing are great ways to overcome depression. You might be feeling really low, have really been through a really tough time, but by singing and dancing, it can make you feel good. And you can do that every day. You can also have fun with pets and use laughter therapy. There are so many ways you can defeat depression that you do not, I repeat, you do not need electric shock torture. You do deserve better, don't you? When it comes to other ways of dealing with depression, one of the important elements to remember is that social media has such a huge impact on depression, especially among young people. It's so sad that so many young people rely on social media. And it's interesting. Let's have a look at my list of the devastating impacts of social media on you and those you love. Dementia rates are doubling. Neck and spinal injuries. Autism rates have doubled since the introduction of the iPad. Devices are messing with your children's brains and are interfering with their motor skills. Anxiety, depression, suicide. Do you know that 86% of Australians believe suicide can be triggered by social media? Violence, including domestic violence. The inability to remain still without gadgets. There's many cases of people who so-called meet by way of social media, yet when they meet in real life, rape, torture, and murder occur. Children raping other children, cyberbullying, with thanks to social media, what's the point in exercising, going for a walk or a swim, or even going to a shop or a bank to meet real people when social media takes all away the need to do any of that? Why have a brain at all? Because social media does all the thinking for us. We don't know how to solve problems anymore. We don't have to solve problems because social media solves problems for us. That's the problem with social media and its impact on depression. So why so many people, so many young people think it's cool or manipulated into having electric shock torture is because they think it's cool. It's so sad. It's so wrong. I don't understand how psychiatrists and so-called specialists are so ignorant to the dangers of social media. It just seems like a quick way out, a quick fix to say, okay, you've got depression, rather than look at the real causes of depression. Here, have electric shock torture. That'll fix you. Now, a friend of mine I was talking to the other day, she said that why so many young people naively accept electric shock torture or are manipulated into accepting it is because of peer pressure. They think it'll be something to boast about, regardless of the harm it can cause. It is so sad that happens. Now you may be wondering why I am so passionate, so fiercely determined to have electric shock torture stopped now. One part of my answer is that when I received that torture, it devastated my life. And by the way, when I received it, I found out later I was given an incorrect diagnosis by a psychiatrist, so I didn't have to undergo that torture at all. But in a weird way, I'm pleased it did happen to me, so that I can let you know about the dangers of electric shock torture to prevent you and those you care about from suffering this torture. The memories of that torture will never go away. I was also told that if I tell anyone about that electric shock torture, I would be forced to go back to the place to have it again. The second part of my answer is that when I read of cases such as the individual who was forced to go electric shock torture against his will and even needed people to hold that person down, and that happened over 20 times, I think, how dare anyone can apply or authorise or condone that barbaric practice, a practice which is not safe. I'll repeat that for you. It is a practice which is not safe. Psychiatrists, psychologists, counsellors, social workers, etc., often say they have a duty of care. A duty of care to look after the welfare and safety of their patients, clients, and those they come into contact with, to keep them safe, protected. Sadly, some, and I don't mean all, but some irresponsible, negligent psychiatrists and the like hide behind that so-called duty of care and authorise or condone barbaric electric shock torture, a practice which devastated my life and the lives of so many others. How dare they? For those who inflict, authorise or condone electric shock torture, to say they have a duty of care, it's like a bald man saying he has beautiful hair. It's a lie. Preparing and doing this video has been a painful process for me. I've shed many tears. It's brought back horrific memories, and I've wondered, should I even do it? A dear friend replied with these words: "I'm really moved by your courage in speaking out about your experience with electric shock therapy. It is so important that these stories are shared." You're absolutely right, David. There are far, far more compassionate and effective ways to support people with depression, and your voice will no doubt help raise awareness and inspire change. She is right. Change needs to happen now. Not in 6 months, because in that time, many more naive people will suffer, be tortured by irresponsible, negligent, manipulative specialists. It's hard. In closing, I'd like you to remember: 1, electric shock treatment or therapy should be more accurately described as torture. 2, there are many side effects, some of which have devastated my life and the lives of so many others. 3, there are far more compassionate and effective ways in this support people with depression, bipolar disorder, etc. And 4, it is not safe. I've got a question for you now. It's a plea from me to you. Will you please join with me to do all we can to ban electric shock treatment, therapy, torture? Together, we can do that. We can. In fact, it's our duty of care. I'd love to hear from you. To do that, please see my contact details in the bio below. Thank you.